this weird thing that we were here at the ground floor of, the death metal hardcore hybrid, is bigger than ever and has more reach than ever.
What I considered hardcore back in the day did not sound like metal at all. I think it was Pete Sandoval when we played with Morbid Angel way back when.
My shitty high school band, man, we played some Sunday afternoon bullshit, opening up for Internal Bleeding in 2000.
I can gatekeep pretty much anybody because I've been around for so long and I don't do it. It's dumb. You gotta have new people come into the scene, and if they're doing it for trend, they'll be gone in a year, so who cares? I'm Chris Pervelis, founder of Internal Bleeding, and they call me the boss.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
They do, huh?
Yeah, they do.
Hey, what's up? Chris McCarthy, play guitar and vocals, backing vocals, secondary vocals for Internal Bleeding.
Ryan, also known as Slim or Isopod, unfortunately, and I play bass, and I make people angry, I guess. It's pretty funny.
Missing is Steve, vocalist, and Kyle, drummer. Individuality, the most important thing for me was I could express myself any way I want. And that was cool because I came out of the hardcore scene of the 80s, the early 80s, and it was like if you didn't look a certain way or act a certain way, it was like really rigid, you know? And I kind of hated that. And I moved into metal. I always loved metal. I mean, Sabbath is my favorite band, but Slayer started coming along, and I got into being a metalhead, you know, more and more, you know, because of like early bands like Slayer and Possessed and stuff like that. A lot of the 80s metal is embarrassing, so that's why I didn't listen to it. But then when, like I said, you know, Possessed and Slayer and that stuff started coming along, it started really changing things, so that's how I became a metalhead. Still am today.
Yeah, to some degree it was the individuality thing. It was the expression that was different than all the other cats at school, but it was something viscerally that I was drawn to as far as the sound, the Metallica, you know, and then I went from there, you know, and then Pantera and Sepultura and shit, and then you find the extreme shit, Deicide, Morbid Angel, and you go from there, Suffocation, Eternal Bleeding, Dying Fetus, and here we are, you know what I mean? Growing up in New York, you got a taste of all that shit, so like as much as I was exposed to Suffocation and Dying Fetus, and we were also Biohazard and Madball and Scarhead and Marauder, and that was the shit. That was the shit that like kids are my age and a couple years older than me listened to, and that was the shit that you like were drawn to if you were a kid my age growing up and you had a little extra fucking balls, a little extra testosterone, that like fucking you know, like Korn wasn't necessarily filling the gap for or something shit. Not talking shit. I actually appreciate them more in my adult age more than I ever have. But like bands like All Out War and Sepultura, where like it like blew your fucking mind when you're in fucking 8th grade and ninth grade and you find this fucking shit. You know what I mean? So that was yeah, man. It was like it was an expression thing. It was an aggression thing, and that's what it came from, man.
For me, it's still being able to write music and try pushing myself to write better music, and secondarily, it's the camaraderie with the band. That's one of the reasons I love going out and tour. I mean, we laugh. Literally, we go on tour for a month, and from minute one to the last minute, it's just like non-stop buffoonery, chicanery, and just laughter and hijinks.
Mad
and
inside jokes.
Yeah,
for sure.
tons of inside
great
jokes, and a lot of go out there and pound people's heads with music. It's just the greatest thing in the world, you know? So I keep doing it as long as my body, you know, I'm 55 now, as long as my body lets me keep doing it, I'm going to keep doing it.
We're going to have to put you down.
Soon.
It's in a very cool and interesting place, man, where people are definitely trying to push the boundaries of stuff still, and I think that's awesome. I think it's cool that this weird thing that we were here at the ground floor of, the death metal hardcore hybrid, is bigger than ever and has more reach than ever. And the bands are bigger than ever that sound extreme, that have extreme vocals, that have unreadable logos, that have fucking unbelievable crazy drumming and crazy riffs. Bands like are huge, man. And it's great that it's evolving that way. It sucks because it's sort of watered down the extremity of great bands because there's so many bands that can access extremity and crazy drums now and insano vocals. You know, you only be able to know one kid when you're a kid when it was like, oh, Joe Marchese can sound like a toilet bowl.
Right.
We got to have him in the band. You know what I mean? Like now every kid can go. You know what I mean? Like so I kind of diluted a little of the specialness, but I'm glad that the thing that we're part of, the style that we're very much ingrained in, is actually getting bigger and bigger by the day. So I think that's very fucking cool. It's the logical progression for me. Rap, metal, hardcore, punk. It's all that extreme expression and aggression that I keep going back to. That's like an undeniable thing that like, and they're all connected sort of somehow in the weird underground thing, rap and hardcore, and the cool bands all sort of take from each other and have a similar, you know what I mean? I think that it's fucking awesome. I love that metal and hardcore are becoming one thing, you know what I mean? I'm very glad that it's the thing, you know, like at least it's not ska, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's really cool because what I consider hardcore back in the day did not sound like metal at all. It was not. I mean, if you listen to Victim in Pain from Agnostic Front, it is the furthest thing from metal.
Right.
You know, and now look where they are. So it's awesome to see how they went, well, you know, we're getting better at our instruments, and you know what, it's got to be heavier. It's got to be, and it's just a natural gravitation to want to get heavier and more extreme. So it's cool to see bands that have stuck around a long time that went from like, especially the hardcore thing, it went from sounding like 80s hardcore, which is totally different, to like now they're like all full-blown metal bands now. And that's pretty wild, you know? I think. I mean, it's cool to see, and it's all going that way right now. I mean, it's crazy.
And as far as extreme bands, thank God, man, that bands are pushing the fucking limits, man. We played some shows with fucking Jesus Piece. We're playing today with them. We played with them earlier in Baltimore, earlier this summer, and they are the heaviest fucking band we've seen in a long fucking time.
Yeah,
we were blown away. So I'm glad that bands are fucking pushing it as far as sonic heaviness, extremity. They're putting a lot of thought into it too, beyond just the thing that you could easily fucking do with downtuning your guitar and fucking doing blast beats and stuff. They do a thing that I think is really extraordinary.
People who have done it for so long, I think people who are into it and stay into it for so long, I still think they get that. I don't know about, you know, you've been in it doing it for a long time, but I still hear bands and all of a sudden the hair stands up on the back of my neck, or a charge of electricity goes through you, and you're like, fuck, I want to break something, or, you know. Heavy. And even at my age, I'm like that. I want to just fucking break something. Well, it's good.
You know, so it's like metal, this type of shit, it's a tough thing to fake liking. You know, you can't bring your normie friend from work to see Despised Icon and have them go, well, that was great. You know what I mean? Like, you have to really love it to love it. But it's a visceral thing that you love. If you fucking love it, then you love it. You know what I mean?
Like, it just resonates inside
I'll hear a motherfucker playing Metallica in his car 10 cars away in traffic, and I go,
oh, Steve's here, you want to sit?
Fuck. You know what I mean? Sit. It's a visceral thing. It's a fucking thing that hits you on more than just one level, you know. It's a sonic thing that just like fucking, if you get it, you get it, and if you get it, you really fucking get it, and it's kind of part of your thing forever.
Why have you been a metalhead for so long? What is it?
I'm just not too bright.
Fair enough.
That's awesome. That is also a factor. We're all pretty dumb. Songs need to have progression and direction. It can't just be, here's heavy for the sake of being heavy. That shit sucks. It's gotta have things that build up to it, cool riffs, fun, like intricate things. Like drums, I think, is one of the biggest things. If your drums are boring, your band probably sucks. It's all just like progression.
Yeah, for sure. You have to have killer fucking nasty drums. Your guitar has to sound sick and not stupid. Chris said something a long time ago, tension. You have to have tension in your songs, because like you could just do a mosh part, but that's boring as fuck. Or you could do that mosh part that's like, ooh, fuck, I think it's coming after this next thing. I think it's coming after this next thing.
And then it doesn't.
you know,
and then it comes after that.
You know, I love shit like that. Yeah, tension's a big part of that, for sure.
I think the biggest is having basic compositional skills and being able to piece a song to. There's so many
swag,
bands.
man. You gotta have groove. You gotta have fucking the thing that you can go back to and go.
But there's a million bands. There's a million bands that patch riffs together with absolutely no thought of flow or anything like that. So composition,
you know how many fucking
I think,
bands
is important.
I go see them live, and I get in my car and I go, I don't remember a fucking second of any of those songs.
Yeah, I agree. Grooves, hooks, good vocals.
But then I'll go see somebody like
strong stage presence.
Yeah.
I think a live band can really make or break.
You got to have the hooks, man. You got to have the fucking things that you can sink your teeth into as musician or not. You know what I mean? You got to have the thing that you're going home and going in your head at the breakfast the next day. You go, oh man, Misery Index played that fucking insane. Oh man, love that shit. If you don't have a thing where you sink your teeth into, your band's stupid. I don't want to ever listen to it again.
The best is when you can go see a band and that you never saw, and you go home, they blew you away, and you go home and you know at least 3 or 4 of their riffs. That's the sign of a good band. That they can fucking dig their hooks into you that deep that you walk away and you're like, fuck that band.
You know who was great? Who we saw?
Riff.
Who we love? Not a death metal band. Like a stoner rock band. Restless Spirit.
Oh yeah.
First time we saw them, we were like, holy shit.
Yeah, that was good.
Every song was insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
So shout out to Restless Spirit.
First of all, listen to Sperm Swamp and Dragon Force. And there you go.
Steve's our Mr. Sunshine.
For real, be sincere to the thing you like. Don't just do a thing or go and write the bands that your friends like or like the bands that are cool in the thing at the moment.
Definitely.
Like the bands, find the bands that speak to you and fucking go 1,000%. Don't be afraid to love the thing you love in fucking heavy music and extreme music. You know, if you love Godflesh, make that your fucking thing. If you love fucking Pain of Truth, make that your thing. If you love fucking Morbid Angel, make that your fucking thing. Get after it, man. Don't be fucking, you know what I mean?
And biggest thing is don't let fucking gatekeeping assholes
That's
make
kind
you.
of-
Make
that's-
you that's kind of what you're saying.
that's
I just
kinda
want
what I meant. You said it the right way. You
I
said
want
it
to
the-
say it
the right way.
there's a lot of gatekeepers out there because you got into fucking metal last week, instead of being like, fuck dude, welcome aboard, it's like, oh, you don't know this fucking band, you didn't do this, you don't have this demo.
You don't know Mills Farter?
It's like shut the
Mills
fuck
Farter
up.
is shit,
I can gatekeep pretty much anybody because I've been around for so long and I don't do it. It's dumb. You got to have new people come into the scene, and if they're embracing it, they're embracing it. And if they're doing it for trend, they'll be gone in a year. So who cares? You know what I'm saying? Shit drives me nuts, man.
The good bands, the good tunes, the good material speaks for itself, and that shit sticks around forever, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a great
Well,
question.
Mick Jagger said to me one. I'm trying to think. Actually, I think it was Pete Sandoval.
Wow.
When we played with Morbid Angel, way back when, he sat on the side of the stage, watched our whole show, and he loved the show. And he came up to Billy and me, my drummer, old drummer, may rest in peace. And he said, you guys are fucking awesome. He's like, don't stop. He's like, you got something going on. I haven't heard a band like you before. This is great. Keep going. And that got me going that lit a fire under my ass. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that was a big deal for me. I mean, I was like excited about it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was awesome,
Shout out Pete Sandoval.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I know for you, it's when I gave you the nod.
Well, I was gonna say, man, my fucking, my shitty high school band, man. We played some Sunday afternoon bullshit, opening up for Internal Bleeding in 2000, and maybe we weren't as bad as I thought, and because I already have a few Internal Bleeding CDs. I know who the man is, you know what I mean? And he walks in the fucking room as we're playing 3-4 songs in, 2-3 songs in. I see this 6'4" gentleman walk in, and he's just enjoying the music. And we lock eyes, and he gives me the head nod. I'm like a 15-year-old kid at the time, and I'm like, oh, fuck yeah.
That was
And a lot of other stuff over the years. Chris is a mentor and a friend. He's like a sensei. You know what I mean? He knows the shit that I love, and he's obviously he stayed.
I also learned a lot from Chris too, so it's not a
But
one-way
you still
street.
write cool competitive shit that I'm not really like, oh god, I gotta fix all this fucking guy's shit. He writes great shit, and it's awesome. So really, a lot I learned from Chris. A lot of the stuff and advice he's given me over the years. John Gallagher from Dying Fetus has given me a lot of just playing and style and technique advice and shit. That's really it, man. A lot of it was kind of like, and I'm sure I picked up things here and there on the road, but like a lot of it was me just going to shows and getting after it, and fucking getting in the car and getting after it, going to other states, going to shows, staying up late, going to shows in Brooklyn, buying mad CDs, finding the shit on my own, and then jamming with some fucking excellent dudes over the years. Shout out Frankie Mitz. He used to be in Eternal Bleeding. He played guitar on Onward to Mecca. I'd play a riff in front of him, and he'd be like, that shit sucks, do better. And I'd be like, oh, and he meant well. He wasn't trying to knock me down. He was like, no, you could do better than that. You know what I mean? He think twice. So he do more at the end of that. Do something greater, you know. And he brought a lot out of me in that respect. So yeah, shout out Frankie Mitz, shout out Chris Pervelis, shout out John Gallagher.
Honestly, some of the bands that we play with, some of the bands that I can now call like some of the members, like my friends, like Derek from Suffocation, like that was cool. We were like fucking friends. This is fucking awesome.
Yeah, they were awesome.
And honestly,
They're the greatest. They are the nicest guys in the world.
Like them, like hanging out with Majewski that one time from Devourman, that was fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like that's all that makes me go, okay, this is pretty cool. And honestly, gotta give it to Pervelis. It's pretty cool. He's a
Thank
cool
you. You're
guy.
making me blush.
We have the exact same birthday too, which
Yeah,
makes
it's
sense.
crazy. Like 60 years apart.
It's fucked up. It's fucked up. It's fucked up.
It's fucked up.
Tonight you guys are playing with Hatebreed, and you know Long Island death metal has always been rooted in slams and the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Talk about Internal Bleeding's relationship with the hardcore scene.
Well, we started playing. We started playing with hardcore bands in the
I
early
wasn't born.
'90s. Like we'd play with Neglect. We'd play a lot with Neglect and all those other bands. It was big. Like it was really starting to kind of like get big in the early '90s, and then it
that's
kind
what
of
it is
fell
now.
apart. Then it kind of fell apart, and now it's coming back full circle again.
Yeah.
Now it's coming back again. But we always, in the beginning, we always went to play with hardcore bands. It was great. We played with Hatebreed a bunch of times way back when, up in Connecticut at the Hanover House and shit like that. It was great.
Mushroomhead too.
Yes, we did play with Mushroomhead.
So I came up in the hardcore and death metal scene, Dying Fetus and Biohazard, Suffocation and Madball. It's all the same shit to me, you know what I mean? So I was experiencing all that at the same time. So my bands that I played in when I was younger, Without Remorse, Revenants, Punch Your Face, they were all death metal adjacent hardcore bands or hardcore adjacent death metal bands. You know, that's just kind of how it was. And Internal Bleeding played a big fucking role in that. They were the kingpins of Long Island, of Crossing the Gap, you know. Them even having short hair and baseball caps almost made it okay for them to be play hardcore shows.
And that's the
You
first
know,
time I
as-
experienced gatekeeping was that.
As extreme as their music is, they had short hair and baseball caps. So they got put on shows with Biohazard and All Out War. You know, and that's how I experienced them. And then I came up in that same thing, and I wanted to bridge that gap even more with my band Without Remorse. And then bands like Revenants, Awaken the Cadaver, Despise Icon, All Shall Perish, bands that did deathcore. They were like hardcore kids doing death metal thing that was awesome. Death metal influenced thing that was a fucking awesome hybrid of truly both, you know. Before deathcore was the thing that you're thinking that like maybe some of you folks are thinking of, it was literally
It was totally different.
it was totally different.
Totally
it was hardcore
different.
kids trying to do death metal or something, but not the way you're thinking of it. It was death metal. I don't know, you know what I mean? It was
Driven to Conquer.
listen to the album Driven to Conquer by Internal Bleeding and listen to the album Onward to Mecca by Internal Bleeding, and you'll know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. Meshuggah.
Meshuggah, yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Every band went from going to boom, 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 boom.
to this on my
You know?
9-string guitar.
Yeah, it sucks ass. 9-string shit sucks ass. 7-string shit sucks ass. It's goofy as fuck. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Shit,
Write a riff.
Shit goofy as fuck, man.
Is it Indonesia? I don't know.
So Wildest show we probably played was Indonesia. Ton of people, 10,000 people, 9,000 people, just going fucking berserko. That was just like truly brilliant, amazing time. Billy got to experience that. It was just a really nice time that I always look back to. But we've had unreal injuries at our shows that have horrified me. And but I also look back and I go, man, a guy got stabbed while I was playing to one of my riffs that I wrote in my room in my underwear. Street cred. Yeah.
I think my favorite, let's see, I think the best experience it was right when we were starting out. We played a show all the way up in the top of Canada in a hockey rink.
Ruin Duranda?
It was Amqui.
Oh.
And it was all the way at the top of Canada, seriously, in a place called Amqui, and it was a hockey rink, and it was completely sold out, the hockey rink. And we played our set, and they wouldn't let us off the stage. Literally wouldn't let us off the stage. They wanted us to play more. And like we played every song that we had ever written because we had just started. And we just said, fuck it, let's do the set again. And we just did the whole set again. And it was such an experience because the whole floor of the hockey rink was just one big toilet bowl of people spinning around. It was totally wild. It was great. That's one of my favorite experiences.
Yeah, I see some wild shit, man. I see some wild fights that I'm like, listen, man, I don't encourage it, but it's like, you know, it's part of the game, you know what I mean? And I ain't trying to really stop it. I don't want to see girls get hurt. Let's get that fucking first and foremost. But
You're very Ivan Drago about it.
But
if he dies, he dies.
Right. But I've seen some wild fights in my day that I like shouldn't even like recount the tales of. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I played
you were
another
in the
band
middle
called
of
Missing
them.
Link. I played a band called Without Remorse. If you guys know anything about any of those bands, it's large men punching each other for 47 minutes. You know.
Cutting my arm open in
Oh,
Switzerland.
your first show in Europe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the first show in
slashing your
Europe.
arm open. That
So
was fun.
I learned how to I've never opened a bottle with like a lighter before, and I figured that out because Joe Marchese showed me, and then someone said I was a little more tipsy than most people should be, and we get back, and I'm like, oh, I learned something. I could open anything, and I grabbed the first thing I could find, and it's a giant knife that we were cutting little cheeses and stuff with all day. And it was a knife. It was a really big knife. And I like went bam. Cut open the bottle, and I was like, "This is awesome." I'm just sitting there, and then someone was like,
And I noticed blood on the floor.
You're like, Ryan, you're bleeding. I was like, huh? I did that, and my arm, there's still like a giant cut right there. Well, there's blood everywhere. There's blood everywhere. It was crazy.
It's great.
And then
There's blood on the dance floor.
Yeah, there's no hospitals out there, so we wrapped it up with a dirty dish rag and just called it a day. And then I had to play an hour-long set. It was really fucking painful.
That's it. I'm sure there's plenty of other crap over the years. You know, plenty of shit being on tour. I've seen some wild shit, man. We've seen some fucking wild people. A lot of crazy people watching. A lot of crazy fights. A lot of unbelievable shows. A lot of crazy crap in the van. You know, fucking crazy dead
drank
animals
pee
on the
on
road.
accident
Ryan accidentally drank my pee. Yeah, it's the whole thing. So,
I accidentally
happens.
drank my pee.
It happens.
accidentally.
Yes. Ryan, you have to have the sickest song. Yours is probably like fleshed and gutted on top of a fire hydrant naked with 17 Japanese women or something.
It might be. Probably my one band at Kizakuri. It's the one song "Doll of Flesh." It's about this exploitation film that's, well, this guy just cuts open this woman and it's really, really, really fucking awful. And that's pretty much it. But it's really gross if you ever watch it.
I don't think Internal Bleed doesn't have any like really like crazy sick.
Spoilment of rotting flesh.
Now is that Humanicide?
Humanicide's pretty good, and the lyrics are pretty good.
I gotta say, in all the bands that I've done and all the records that I've done, I've kept it pretty PG-13 somehow. You know, I haven't used any sort of really, really gore titles or anything. I kept it pretty. Yeah, no. I haven't used the C word in any of my titles. No, that's it. I'm not a very controversial guy as far as the song titles. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't. Song titles have to do with the song, so it's like. I think sometimes half these people don't know what they're even saying. They just look stuff up in a thesaurus and string it together, and then I read. Like I'll read some band's lyrics, and I'm like, do they know that none of this makes sense?
I want to say the old shit in the early 90s was kind of gore, you know, kind of like standard death metal, was about like summoning demons and shit. Then over the years it turned into just about violence, revenge, you know, and then the last albums, you know.
Personal stuff.
Yeah, personal shit. I mean, Armored Mecca's about 9/11 for the most part, you know what I mean? We got to keep it real. You know, our city was fucking pulverized and we reacted to it, you know. One of the guys in the band at the time reacted to it and they had the platform to do so.
It's mostly,
you know, mostly shit. It's real life shit. It's drugs. It's religion. It's fucking revenge. It's death. It's personal relationships. It's lies. It's truth. It's fucking, you know what I mean?
propaganda. It's more. I like writing fantasy stuff, and I did in the early days. I wrote a lot of fantasy stuff because that's where I was at. But I've just kind of more into introspective kind of stuff, and you know, like. All of Driven to Conquer is a very I wrote all the lyrics to that album, and all of those songs are extremely personal to me because of what I was going through at the time. So it's kind of neat to be able to do stuff like that and vent your personal, and people can take it any way they want, you know. It doesn't, I try not to be so direct in what I try to say, you know, although this next album is painfully direct.
Yeah, we're getting after it with this one.
But yeah, so mostly personal and realistic stuff. Recording our next album.
Yeah, man, we fucking musically the next record is done. 9 songs, pretty hard shit, pretty varied. It's definitely Internal Bleeding. We're trying to have it out by next summer, end of next summer, so we can do all the summer tours and shit, all the festivals. I think the songs are really fucking sick. I think they're just as good, if not better than the fucking Corrupting Influence shit.
Yeah, definitely.
Very strong mix. It's a very strong mix of really old school and corrupting influence. I think it's
Yeah, I'm gonna say Chris wrote a lot of this album. I wrote a lot of Corrupting Influence, and Chris really had a lot of material, so I let him fucking really just fucking take the fucking reins, and I said, Pervelis, take the wheel.
And that's it's good to have a writing partner because when one person stumbles, the other person can
Yeah.
pick them up, so you can keep the flow going. You know.
Very cool. Thank you guys for your time.
Fuck
today.
yeah, man. Cheers.
Appreciate it.
Don't ever ask me that.
Yeah, please.
never again.